How's it going, guys? Crypto Tristan here, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the recent Bitcoin pump, why it happened, where I see the price of Bitcoin moving in the next few days, and the overall idea that we're in a market trend reversal to a bullish pattern. Quickly, if you guys are not already in my Discord, I mentioned it in my last video, I created a community where there's tons of people constantly trading and interacting in voice and in text and sending charts, talking about what they're planning on doing. So it's a great resource for you guys. I greatly suggest you check it out. We actually had a large number of you guys join here since yesterday, and I'm very appreciative about that. Great to see you guys kind of enjoying the new community. Also, if you guys are not following me on Twitter already, I'll leave that link in the description as well. And you can see I'm continuing to update on there. I actually put out an update this morning and said we were at the edge of the channel. This is a new trade zone. Whichever way we'd break, it would be a $1,200 move, which we actually did, and I'll get into that in the technical analysis. But we did wind up breaking upwards, so now we're going to kind of reevaluate and look at where I think Bitcoin's going to be moving. So let's get right into it. So Bitcoin, we can see this morning had a massive pump. Like I said, about $1,200, and if you're wondering why I thought the target would be about $1,200, that's because the length of the widest part of the symmetrical triangle was about $1,170, and if we look at from the breakout, we were $1,170 exactly, and that actually lined up with the major trend line back from last year, this white trend line, which we drew from September, and we bounced right off of that and are now coming back down to retest the major trend line down from 20K as a support line. We can see we actually had some of the highest volume we had seen in a long while today. If I point that out, that's going to be right here. And so this is a good indication that there was market strength and a lot of trust in the price movement, because if we go look at some of the other pumps, such as the pump off of 6.5, which we had a few days ago, we can see the volume was very lackluster, extremely low, which did not indicate a bounce. Because if we go back to like the 6K bounce a few months ago, we can see we had some volume uptake. And then when we had this bounce here, we were actually declining in volume. If I go draw in a trend line, we can see we were declining in volume, which is not a good sign for a bullish reversal. However, now with this increase in volume, we can start to evaluate whether was this actually the bottom. I can say this, like I said, we broke out of the symmetrical triangle, which technically was a bearish continuation pattern. If you're not familiar why I'm saying that, basically at the end of a downtrend, a sideways consolidation in this pattern is usually a sign of continuation to the downside. Now we know that this market is manipulated and there's a ton of unpredictability when it comes to Bitcoin's price movement, and that's because often when everyone thinks the price is moving a certain way, the opposite happens, and I fell for this as well. Something I should have been definitely more aware of, especially when if we go to Bitcoin USD shorts, we can see they were at an all-time high. Now they've fallen off a cliff, and I'm going to get into why that's important to us for future price predictions. But we can see that we had a huge short squeeze. We actually broke, like I said, all-time highs on the shorts. If we zoom out, all-time highs by a significant margin. And now, let's see how much the shorts have gone down. They were at 40,000, and now they're at 24,000. So about a 40% drop today in the shorts. And if we go take a look at longs, we can see longs have started to drop off as well. However, since then, I guarantee if I go to like a closer time frame, since that pump, we saw longs rise. After we hit the peak, we saw longs decline, and now we're seeing longs increase again. So the longs are a little less predictable at the moment for predicting future price movement, but the shorts declining is actually a good sign for the bears. And I know that sounds weird, but we have to think the market manipulators, if we do want to quote-unquote trade like a whale, the whales do not want the general public to make money. And when the general public is starting to talk about shorting Bitcoin, and I heard some stories today that people that had no idea what shorting Bitcoin was, were not really traders, were talking about beginning to short Bitcoin, and that's usually a good sign to think, okay, the opposite is going to happen. We look at when the price rose from 5K to 20K in a month, everyone was FOMOing into Bitcoin. That was usually a good sign to start thinking about getting out, because when the general public, the people that aren't aware, are getting in, that's usually a sign that the trend is going to start to reverse very soon. So if we go back to Bitcoin, like I said, we did break out of this medium channel, which we had been following down from 11.8, and are now bouncing off this blue trend line down from 20K. Now, I could see Bitcoin either moving sideways or breaking up to touch the big trend, the big channel, which is the overall descending channel down from 20K. And if it breaks this, that is more of a kind of bullish ideology, because this is the channel that we need to break in order to kind of reverse that trend. Really, 11.8 and even 13K are my key points to confirm moving up, but along on the break of this descending channel after you have confirmation would probably be a smart move. Right now, I would not suggest going into a long, although I know that we could see a move up another $1,000. You must think, if we go do a long position, what is our risk to reward? So reward right now to the top of the move would be a 12% gain without leverage, right? But let's think. We think Bitcoin should realistically come down to 4.5. So that's a 40% loss for a 12% gain. That's not a good risk to reward ratio. That's a 0.3. And I really like to put my trades in a 3 to even 4 risk to reward ratio, because as traders, we're constantly trying to mitigate risk and increase reward. You know, if you make a bunch of small gains and then take a big loss, what are the points of the small gains? You want to be trying to make constant gains and minimizing your losses in order to continue to grow your portfolio as a trader. We're not always going to be right as traders, but we must always, again, put ourselves in the best situation to be right. I actually did enter a short last night at the top of this channel, because that was a good risk to reward ratio, because if we had bounced off of that, we would have moved down, like I said, doing a $1,200 move, pushing us down to the 5.4 level. Now, is it a possibility that this is a giant bull trap? 100%. We could come down right from here and push down to 5K, or we could, again, move to the top of the channel at that 9K level, again, depending on timeline, and then move down. And for that is where I'm going to be looking for. If we do come up to this point, I will enter a short position with a stop right behind it in order to, again, mitigate risk, have a high chance of reward, because if I enter a stop here, let's actually do a short position this time. Let's say a short here, and put a stop right there. And then let's say I get that short and we come down to even 5.4K. 38% to a 2% loss. 21 risk to reward ratio. Now, does that sound like a lot better trade to you guys? 100%. And if we're going to be whales in this market, we must constantly think, what is the best trade for us? And we must always think, what are these market manipulators looking to do? Again, they're not trying to see people make all this money. If we went straight down, everyone would be making money off these shorts. But by moving the price up and breaking out of this pennant, which was bearish, that's kind of an idea that, okay, let's liquidate these shorts, because everyone that's shorted now in between, even from 9K probably, has either closed their short or was liquidated. Anyone that shorted below 8K was liquidated, and anyone that shorted below 9 most likely closed their short by now. So again, I would not recommend opening a long at this point. The risk to reward is not there. I can see a move to the top of the channel, or again, if we do break below this trend line, we're going to just come right back down. So if I see a break below this trend line, I might enter a short on that confirmation. Probably a break below this this moving average, which, if you're not familiar with moving averages, this one is the 50 MA, which is a strong support level. We can see that when we came down off the consolidation from this high, we actually bounced right off that 50 MA. So a break below this point, which is about 7,500, would probably be a good short, because then we would have failed the hook and go on this trend line, would have failed to hold support on the MA, and then could see a move back down to maybe even retest this 697K level. And if it broke below that, then to new lows. So again, do not be afraid of, are you going to miss out on the next pump? Wait for that confirmation. Wait to make sure the trade is a good risk to reward ratio. Purchasing here is not a good idea in my opinion, and let's wait for a better opportunity. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, please check out the Discord, link will be in the description. Follow me on Twitter, link will be in the description for that as well. And I hope you guys make a lot in crypto. Let's all become whales, and have a great day. Peace, guys.